We're streaming together, Miku. Stop. 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 Stop it. No. Chat, help me. I can't even see you guys. Where are you? Hello. Welcome to, yeah. Me. I got hair. I got new glasses. Hello. How is everybody? How are y'all doing? Hi, Cypress. Hi, refrigerated. Yes, it is. Refrigerated cartoons. Oh, I can read the chat a little better now. Apparently, my prescription was pretty behind where it was supposed to be. My goodness, this is too loud for all of us kids. There we go. Yeah, apparently my prescription was too bad, because now I definitely can see. Now it's just I can't read. This is Miku. She's flicking her tail right now, but, you know, we can't be 100% happy all the time, can we? No. Happiness is a lie. Hello, BattleBoxCat. Hello, Amber Richards. She's a cutie. She's cute. She's mine. She's my problem. Hello, AZ. Hello. You're exactly who I was waiting for. Cause you're the writing person. Cause it is critique stream today, which means, you know, judgment. It's judgment day. I'm a little close to the mic, aren't I? I don't know. It's pretty loud. I keep hitting I keep hitting the yellows here. I just spilled candle wax on my shirt, but I'm ready. Judge me? Well, first off, why? Why you spilling candle wax? That's my first judgment. Okay, why is my hair crazy? No, we're staying with me the whole time. Okay? We're friends. Me and you, we're friends. We're gonna show chat how friendly we are, me and you. That we're best friends. Honestly, she's pretty contented. She's doing her little blinks. That or she's trying to symbolize to me. She's like, I am not a threat. Release me. Those little flicky ears. Oh my god. So cute. I was trying to light a candle, but it slipped. Unacceptable. Hello, Tara B. I have Dorito dust on me. On mine. Wait, on your what? On your cat? What? Oh, the spilling, probably. Fado's crazy behind me. He's throwing down. Matica, please, I'm streaming. Your mom doesn't even have treats anymore. We'll put them away then. Because otherwise she's going to be begging the whole time. Oh my god, she's so cute. She's making a little cute. Oh, you can see her little bow tie and everything. She's got a bow tie. It says a bell on it because she's bad. So you need to be able to hear where she is. At any moment, you need to know where this one is. She will cause you chaos. Okay. I'm going to actually start critiquing. Because, you know, maybe. Or maybe I won't. I don't know. I will. I haven't put any videos out in a bit. Because I haven't been working on Kuroe story, so I don't have things to say. And I probably need to just start talking about what I actually am working on. Because I've been rewriting Magpie right now. So, that's my life. That's my life, me. That's been going good. And I guess I was working on Avo before that, and then I was doing RPs, so yeah. Hopefully I get back into Kuroe story. Right, but today is the critique stream, and that means that we are critiquing patrons' art and writing. I critique the writing, Ursula critiques the art, and we just have a good time with it. And if you want critiques, you have to be a patron. Yeah, because that'll give you access to the little Patreon thread. Honestly, I should make it a YouTube membership thing too. Remind me to do that. Hi. Alright, so I read AZ. Rhyming timing. I need to make sure I can see the chat. And I need to be shirt and cat. You got Doritos on your cat and your shirt. Wow. Yeah, so I read chapter 10.5, draft 2. Wow. The first thing I noticed was that you repeated a paragraph at some point, I'm pretty sure, but like that's not really a major critique at all. I just got confused and I was like, oh, okay, that's what happened. Or at least like it sounded very similar. No, you're stuck with me. You're stuck with me. You're stuck with me. You probably did. Yeah, that's fair. We all do. You're stuck with me. I'm getting kicked. I liked it. As usual, I like reading the dialogue and stuff because you do pretty good at that. I liked the cute thing. You said it was, yeah, the little cute flashback. I was like, oh, daw, so cute. Big Sarah chapter trying to work on her. Yeah. Yeah, so like I liked a lot of like the setup, and I liked her conversation with Rory. I liked that exchange. I thought that was really good. Fleshing out them. And like I liked when no, she has to sit there. You're never gonna convince her. You can't convince Madoka. Madoka's not a convincible dog. You give her what she wants, and she will shut up. Nothing less. She owns our house. Right. Sorry. I liked the scene where Arsene, whatever, shows up for the first time. Can only figure out through the blood and sweat and tears of hammering out at drafts. Yeah, exactly. I liked it. I thought it was cute. I didn't get in that first scene with him and her, like I didn't get that there was like a history, like the sort of history stuff that comes out in the second scene with them. Like I think that was that one was clear to me. Like I started to get that, but like in the first one it felt very very meet cute almost, I guess. And I didn't feel like there was some rough history going on there. I want to lay the tension down when they first meet each other, so keep that in mind. Yeah, it might also have to do with like, you know, maybe you did mention this stuff before, but like it's been so long, obviously. So yeah, like, yeah, leading into their chit chats and whatnot, like I didn't know really that they had this kind of history. Oh, sorry, are you just adjusting to be cute? I'm sorry, I thought you were trying to escape. your perspective is helpful. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that was like the main thing I noticed. Like it was like interesting, like interaction and whatnot to read, and I think it's like a good setup, but it just didn't come across that they had a history. Goodness, why are you being so cute right now? What the hell? She's never like this. She's got such bright whiskers. That's all that happened, right? It was just... Yeah, because the scene where they had tea, like, I liked it, and I liked where it built to. I guess it could be built to a bit more, where things kind of... I wasn't sure if I wanted to drop the hint that our son is asexual or leave that a mystery for now, the reason why it didn't work out between them. Yeah, because like, yeah, as it stands now, like I don't know why, but like I was cool with the mystery, honestly. It was somewhere. Okay, what are we doing? What are we doing? My God. But yeah. Miku wins. Miku wins this round. Oh, there's my other cat. I think she's just been in the background. Now I got these chapter done. I can move back to onto the fun of Des and Gil stuff. Hell yeah. Ain't that a mood? Some characters are just so much easier. It's me writing the entirety of Lul's plot before touching anything else. I cannot handle like the non-mirrored. I remember us talking about this last time. Thanks for the perspective. Yeah, Sarah is always hard to write. Yeah, that's me and Aaron. He's just... like, they're good characters. They're just... sometimes they are jerks to you when you're trying to write them. Oh, that's a cat toy, bub. Yeah, you're welcome. Ursula. Stall. I'm supposed to stall for a minute. Stalling for 1 second, guys. But yeah, I've been working on writing. I'm working on Magpie. I'm trying to like... I'm getting Ursula to put episodes out. Apparently she was hiding them from us. But you know, I tricked her. I don't know if she's back yet. Okay. Hi.
Hello? Hello, hello? How is everybody? Bark, bark. Bark, bark, bark. Hi.
Sorry.
Hi, Sevilla.
No.
Oi. Oh, where are you going? Oh. It's all kicking off, guys. It is all kicking off. microphones. This is always solo down. My short king. Don't yell, Fatal. Oh, she wanted to hang out with me. Yes, your mother is working right now. Hello, everyone. Hi, Cypress. Who wants to go first? Who wants to go? We have Tori, we have BattleBox, JunkPixel, Pigment, LesBean, Kuroe, BedSquatter, and Rumpeltyltskyn. Hi! I actually made a stream this year. Yay! Thank you. Thank you for joining us. I can go whenever? Okay. I'll go first? Perfect. Okay. This is Kuroe. I figured it was Kuroe. I recognized. I'm just chilling at work? Okay. We so back, fam. Hello. Ote. Now let's see. What did you write? What notes did you leave me? You said, give me a general critique. Messing around with a sketchy style and chromatics. And I really liked how they came out. I'd love more opinions. I want to convey a feeling of madness, strength, and wildness. Okay. Oh, RinaRina. Okay, you're lesbian. Thank you. Okay. So. I love the color. Like you're saying, you were playing around with like chromatics. Yeah, and I think you've done some very cool stuff with using some like unusual colors for highlights. Like I love the green in the hair. I love the kind of red and orange and green on the fur lining of the coat. I love your vids. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Yeah, so using these very like bright unique colors to do some highlights, it definitely like it stands out. It creates like a lot of like vividness and movement. It's very cool lighting. A very cool choice. And I really love the texture you're using on your brushes, where it's adding just a bit of like grain to everything. It creates like a little bit of extra texture. It's very nice. Yeah, and there's lots of movement going on, and that comes from like all the kind of like curving diagonal lines. There's lots of like, it feels like the hair is swirling and like the fur is swirling on the coat. There's lots of movement going on. There's lots of like diagonal lines crisscrossing that really creates like a sense of movement through it. The expression is great. The character's coming across as like kind of arrogant and wild, if that makes sense. I never realized how fun textures can be. They're so fun. We love a texture. Yeah, they can be really fun. I love the little detail you applied to the lips and the nose, by the way. They're very well, it's subtle, but it creates a lot of depth, which is really interesting. Same with, I appreciate the way you've shaded the around the cheeks as well, where it's showing a lot of shape to the character. I think it's a little lost kind of here on the chin, where you've got this big bold line like covering the jawline, which makes sense because you have like this is the bottom of the chin, and then you have like the underside of the neck, or the underside of the chin, I guess, here, and then the neck starts. But I think by having this bold line to define the chin, I feel like it's taking away from like the structure of the face. It's making the face feel a little bit squat instead of just like tilted back. And I think if you just went in there with maybe like a slightly darker shadow and just did a little bit of like shaping underneath the jaw, like not a complete firm line, but just some shaping, I think it would really help help things, and bringing in that same like subtleness that you have on the nose and the lips, I think would really work really well with the jaw. Yeah. Hold on, I just realized I'm covering up half the chat. There we go. Okay, so what, did you have any questions on this? Is there anything you were struggling with or wanted opinions on? But overall, I love the color and the shading. It's very cool. As I enjoy my orange drink. We've spoken about it many times, I'm sure, but the water in our town tastes terrible, so I always put flavoring in it. I'm on an orange kick right now. Oh, more texture going on. Let's go. I was nervous about the bold color choices, but I'm glad they came across pleasant. Oh, hell yeah, they totally did. Because you did a very good job with, like, balancing... Like, it's a very red piece, where there's, like, the line work is kind of like a dark purpley red, very desaturated for line work, obviously. And then there's kind of, like, reddish orange through like, the fur and the skin and the hair. And then using that green as, like, a nice pop highlight. It's really nice. Flavored that hard water. Hell yeah. But yeah. The water isn't as bad as it used to be. But it's pretty bad. And I think by it's not as bad as it used to be, it's that we've gotten used to it. But anyways, yeah. Great color choices. So I can move on to the next one if you don't have any questions. Right, so again, general stuff. So again, the textures is very cool. Not gonna lie, I love the nose. Hell yeah. Be proud of yourself. You did some very good work on that nose. Right, so there's... Okay, so I can really see the chromatic aberration on here. Where... Because of the grain texture that you've added... It's really interesting. Because it's created a bit of a lifted effect. I'm noticing on the shadows you notice it the most. Where because like, so it looks like there's been like a green shift added. So like a green hue or tone or whatever has been put on and then shifted slightly. And then a red tone has been put on and shifted slightly. So that's the aberration, right? But it's caught the little grains of texture on the shadow. And because the effect is so bright, it's kind of like created like a highlight and shadow on each grain of the texture, and it makes it feel kind of lifted off the the piece, if that makes sense, where it looks like this kind of 3D effect. Yeah, exactly. Has been like put on top. It's interesting. It makes it feel kind of grimy, which might work because this looks like a kind of swampy nymph character. But again, the use of the red and the green, very good. Nice contrast colors. They play off well because this is like a very majority green piece where there's like a green undertone to the skin, even though the skin's kind of gray. And then same with the hair. You've got the green of like leaves and vegetation coming up, and then you've got some little pops of red from like the frog and the mushrooms and the rose. She's a druid shapeshifter, my friend's D&D character. Oh, cute. We love. We stan. The only thing I think...
You don't need anything.
Serena.
She doesn't need anything.
She doesn't need nothing.
I gave her a peanut butter Kong and
oh, she got a peanut butter Kong? Why is she complaining?
She had a waterful and she got to run around outside for like hours, so she does not need it.
She has demands. You give a mouse a cookie, you know? But she has a peanut butter Kong. She had water. She was playing outside. Okay. What was I saying? Right. So the color choices overall, I think, are very strong. Very cohesive. I like the little touches of red, like surrounded by all the green. I think the one thing to point out is this little rose that's on the neck is pulling a lot of focus because it is like the darkest, most saturated red here. So instead of maybe looking at the face or even the frog, which are kind of like our two little focal points, you probably the face is the biggest focal point. It's being pulled down here by this little pop of color. So that's just something to note for the future, where maybe you want to put like the little, you can either balance the red, like add it to the mouth and the mushrooms, maybe bring something up into the hair. Or you need to desaturate that. Either way, it needs to be balanced out a bit. Again, lots of great movement from all the diagonals, very like active lines. I can see what you mean about the forehead being a little bit small. Yeah, I think there could be, the hairline could be shifted back a little bit. Another thing, it's hard to tell because it's a very close cropped image, but I think the shoulders might be a bit too narrow. I would bring them out a little bit more, just so that they're the right size compared to the head and neck. But otherwise, I think everything looks great. Did you have any questions on this one? I love the little froggy. That's a sweet little baby. I would protect with my life. I also really like the effect on the hair, where the base color of the hair, I guess it could also be a highlight, is the same color as the base color of the skin. And you've just used different, like darker shadows on the hair to differentiate it from the skin, which has like a bit of a lighter shadow. That's a nice effect. It's used a lot in more kind of black and white stuff. But yeah, it works well. This is the first one I did. It was a bit crazy with the chromos. That is totally fair. Right, and then there's this one. Right. So, Very dramatic lighting on this one. Very cool. It looks like there's... The lighting is interesting. There's a very strong kind of gold light coming in from here and here. And then there's a bit of a red that's coming from below and from above. It's interesting. You hate this piece. Why do you hate it? What are you struggling with it on? What part is making you struggle? So from what I'm seeing, I think there's lots of cool stuff you're doing with it. I love the use of the very strong highlight. So like on the back of the hand to really highlight it, and then it's like shared through the face. So there's very stark points to like follow through the piece. That kind of lead you where you want the viewer to look. Her face, and she kind of bleeds into the background. See, I don't think that's so bad. Because I think you're doing a very... I feel like it just feels very like... Also, the pinky looks wonky. I can see that. The pinky looks a little wobbly. But I think having the character blend into the background and then having these like bright spots, these like spotlights almost through the face and the hand, it creates a lot of atmosphere. So like you might not like the effect of it here, but I think it's something to really use when you're creating like for this, like a very kind of like dark and threatening atmosphere where you don't necessarily need every part of the character exposed to the light. And you can create some really interesting pieces through that. So I think it's something to explore further. The one thing I would say, I think if you were doing it a bit more mindfully, there's this section behind her hand, like around the neck and like collar of the shirt, where there's some line art going on, but it's hard to see obviously because it's very much in shadow. I think in the future, if you were to like redo this piece, it might be better to just like turn this into a solid block. Either that, or you need to come in with some like fine detail lighting to really like structure out the different pieces of like what's going on with her shirt here. But otherwise, you probably could just plunge that into shadow, whether it's like this kind of dark violet shadow throughout. I also think the bottom of the hand, because you have this like red light coming up from the bottom, it would be cool to see that, to see the yellow light on the back of the hand and then the red light lighting up the bottom of the hand a little bit more than it is. And then having some very kind of like dark shadows kind of where the lights cross, if that makes sense. So it'd probably be like along the sides of the fingers. Yeah, but the lighting here, super, super cool. Very, like, I'm getting, like, evil space witch kind of vibe. Like, she's about to cast, like, a terrible spell on someone. And, yeah, I love the work you've done on the face. I think there's a little bit of wonkiness going on with this cheek, where it makes sense that it would have shadow on it, because if the light's coming in from up here, her hair would cover it a little bit. And it creates some visual interest having like only this part of her face lit. But I think it's creating a bit of like a depression on her cheek because it's colored so, it's like so shadowed. Where I think this little highlight that you have beneath her eye needed to extend down a little bit onto her cheek. Because it makes it look concave, where I think it's supposed to be more convex, if it's supposed to match like this cheek that's lit. But otherwise, I think really great job. Again, I love the shading on the lips and the nose. You did a really great job around the eyes as well, where there's like, we see a little bit of highlight on the eyelid. And I think outside of the pinky looking a little bit wobbly, I think the rest of the hand looks really great. Really great rendering on that. Yeah, and I love the colors. It was hard to figure that angle shading, so I don't doubt it. Totally fair. Totally fair. Did you have any questions on this one? Anything I didn't cover? Oh, I think, because you know how on the earlier one I mentioned how like the dark line on the chin didn't quite work? I think what you did here works really well, where you can definitely understand the space under the chin. And then just the harsh lighting really differentiates like the front of the face versus like the bottom of the chin. So that's done really well. The nose is too bright. It might be. You maybe want to do like a bit, a highlight more on the top kind of button of the nose, if that makes sense, and then beneath it would be a little bit darker. I think you're right there. Ahoy, hello, welcome. Ahoy, hoy. But yeah. Thank you for submitting. These are very lovely. Yeah, and I love the work with the texture and the cool colors you're choosing. Keep it up, my friend. So, well, BattleBox, if you have any other comments, please let me know. Who would like to go next? Because I know Kuroe is here. Doesn't matter when they go. Pigment said they can go anytime. That's all. Thanks so much. No problem. Thank you for submitting. Rumpel, would you like to go next? May I? Yeah. LesBean/Rina. Sure. Could do yours next. Okay, so we'll do Rina's and then Rumpel. Okay. So, 3 pieces. First one is Carbitas. I freaking love Kirby. Kirby is so cute. Okay. I'd like feedback on the color choices and lighting. Particular focus on how it could be neatened up. Okay. Okay. So, color choices, lovely. Love the little soft purples and then leaning into a more kind of like orangey pink. It creates a nice contrast. Like pulling in yellow versus like the purple. It's very nice. I guess the purple's more bluey. So yeah, having a kind of orangey pink highlight makes sense. Let me see. So I think overall color choices are very balanced. Everything feels very cohesive. Color-wise, I like how there's a nice little highlight on Kirby's eyes that very much matches like the moon, where it's these little pops of white, and then the blue in the eyes really brings out like the blue in the sky. I think for neatening things up, I think the bottom feels a little bit flat. So if I were you, I would go in with maybe some more darker purples. Maybe like, it doesn't have to be as small as some of like the cloud shading you have. Like it could be some bigger pieces. But I feel like it just needs a bit more texture and color down at the bottom. It just feels very flat as it is. And I think if you darkened things up a little bit behind Kirby, it would really make him pop. I'm not sure how much you want the food pieces to really like stand out. You could brighten them up a bit if you wanted them to kind of like match Kirby in like importance in the piece, if that makes sense. But if you want him to be like the star, you can keep them kind of like where they are, like contrast wise. You want Kirby to be the VIP? Yeah, so I would keep everything where it is contrast wise. And if you're gonna add any more highlights, I would add them to Kirby. So if you want, like, maybe you could add like an even brighter highlight on his face or his shoes, maybe like a highlight on the umbrella kind of thing, and then keep everything else like where it is contrast wise. Adorable tasty noise, hell yeah. Yeah, so kind of darken the background, brighten up Kirby, and adding a bit of texture to the bottom, I think would go like such a long way with kind of tightening up the piece. Did you have any other questions? Anything you were wondering? Does the messiness look artistic and intentional? Yeah, I think so. I think there's some places where it could be tightened up a little bit, but it does feel very like it feels like it's supposed to have a bit of like a fluffy kind of painterly look to it, if that makes sense. Like that messiness kind of adds to the character of the piece, if that makes sense. I think there's a couple places where it could be neatened up. For example, like here with this star where it overlaps with the clouds, it feels a little bit rushed, if that makes sense. And I think with the lollipop, I think it's a contrast issue where it's kind of bleeding in with the background a bit. But I think overall it looks very intentional. It's rustic, as my mother-in-law would say. Bless. That's all my art. It's rustic. Yeah. Hello, JunkPixel. Okay. Style works. There's just a couple touch-ups. Yeah, exactly. I think that's true. Yeah. So let me know if you have any other questions. I can move on to the next one. So this is Mole Wizard. We stan. For this one, whatever comes to mind, I was really proud of it and wanted to share, and feedback is appreciated. Okay. The Mole Wizard is adorable, and I will protect him. He is my child. He's my baby. So I think you did a really great job with this. There's lots of atmosphere to it. Mole Wizard. Yeah, where it feels very... I can't think of the word right now. I should know this, but there's, oh, echoes. There's like a very great echo of shape of the kind of like roundness, because there's like the moon, the whole shape of this like domed library. You've got like the circular lamp and the clock and the mole wizard, and it just feels very cohesive shape-wise through the whole illustration. Repetition, yes, thank you. And yeah, and it feels very structured. I love the little tonal shifts in the shading, where you've got a great mix of these like very warm highlights that kind of shift into these very like cool shadows, cool desaturated shadows. Not even a little on purpose. You did it intuitively. Yeah, anyways, great. I love just the color shift from these very like warm, bright highlights and then going into these very cool shadows. It definitely creates that like nighttime look that can be hard to do color wise. And yeah, and I love how the warmth really highlights different pieces. Like it brings your attention to the moon, it brings your attention to like the lamp where he's sitting. I love the little touch of like snow on the outside of the dome. That's very pretty. And I like how I like how kind of as things are brought into the foreground, they get more color as they're like brought into the light. There's little bits of like light hitting the books where like when they're in shadow, they're very grayed out, and when the light hits, they get color, which is how light works with our eyes. Like if it's dark, you don't see color. Can you tell the snow and the vines are the same color? No, I didn't notice, but it makes sense where they'd where it helps kind of blend them into the background. And it makes sense because you're pulling these kind of like warm browns from like the wizard's like skin, and then you're pulling the blues from the hat and the outfit, and kind of treating like the shadows with the blues and then the highlights with the oranges. The only thing that might be an issue, there's a little bit of issue with this. It looks like a little shrub that's like sitting in front of this ladder. There's a little bit of a contrast issue where it felt like it was like a plant or something climbing up the ladder, where I think it needs a bit of separation through like shadow. And I honestly think you could put a little bit more brightness on the wizard. I find his lamp is pulling a lot of attention away from him because it's very bright, which makes sense because it has the light hitting it directly where he's like not quite in the light. But I think just from like an attention thing for the viewer, making him a little bit brighter would probably help, and bringing in a bit more gold onto him. So then you go from like the moon and then down to the lamp and the wizard. I think I honestly, if I were you, I would also dampen the moon a little bit, like make it a little bit darker. Just because it pulls a lot of attention. I think it's the same issue as the lamp, where it's like it's a light source kind of thing, so it's very bright in your piece. But the attention from like a balance perspective, I think should be on the little guy at the bottom. So I feel like he should be like the brightest object. And then you can bring in a little brightness through like the lighting and stuff, and then in the moon. But I think the moon needs to be a bit darker so that your attention goes here. Because it could still be a highlight where you look at it first and then you're drawn down to the next highlight down here. But yeah, I think your attention wants to be on the little dude. Just focus the viewer's attention? Yeah, exactly. Because you want to have your like focus, your focal point of the piece. So like if it's a portrait, it's generally on the face of the character. If it's something like this, obviously your character would be the focus. You could do an alternate version of this piece where like the library is the focus, where you might put the little wizard in like silhouette or really dampen him. And then make the library very bright. If you were just doing, oh goodness, sorry. If you were doing something focused on like the space they're in, like an establishing shot, for example, of like a comic or like an environment design, you would put the attention on, say, like the books or the shape of the dome or the moon coming in. But for this one, because the focus is on your little guy, that's where the attention should go. And you can do that through color and leading lines and all that great stuff. Yeah. Did you have any other questions on this one? It's great because I'm working on a comic. Ah, hell yeah. This one is crazy. Kai can tell you all about it. No additional questions? Okay. Okay. Okay, so this one, like feedback on the character design, but I mostly want to know about the lighting. So I can't, just because there's a limit on how much can be submitted. So I don't think I can go into the designs of each character because that would lengthen it quite a bit. But I could do a quick little look at the lighting if you wanted. One thing about Mole Wizard? Sure. How the books are all different colors? Yes. I can see. Are the colors pulled from him? Because I can see the blues and the reds and yellows. Is that what you were going for? No, they're not. What are they from then? Oh, ho, ho. Not in the shadows anyways. Huh. Slow internet. No worries. No worries. I'm curious. You have to leave in the next 10 minutes or so? Oh, heck. We can move on to Junk first. Sure, if you don't mind, Junk, do you want me to look at your stuff real quick? And then we could jump back to Rina. That's okay. If Rina's okay with it, we can jump around. Again, if you want. Okay. If you don't mind. The books and the shadows are all the same color. Oh, very cool, very cool. I like that choice. Okay. So Rina, we will jump back to you in a moment. Right. So I've been having a lot of trouble with the first character's design and wanted some advice. Her name is Eden. She's very driven and independent. She wants to help people however she can, but that does make her stubborn and cause her to overstep boundaries often. Oh no. Her worst fear is her loved ones no longer needing her or being left behind. She's active and quite strong. God bless. Okay, first image is one I drew today. Don't pay attention to the outfit, just threw it together and wanted to see which hairstyle people prefer. And if a new drawing conveys her personality better. The second one, censored for artistic nudity, God bless, thank you for censoring, appreciate it, is an old reference of her that I threw in here so you might have a better idea of her design colored. And then the third one is another main character. Okay. Okay. She's adorable, for one. Even has my toxic qualities. Same, okay. Right. Okay, so the two hairstyles, you have the one with the twin braids, and then... Oh no, they're both twin braids. This one's just they're together, if I'm reading that correctly, or if it's a large braid. And then one is side parted, one has like bangs with a little bit in the middle. Okay. Interesting. Right, so previously she's had the little tuft down the middle, and she has the twin braids. Okay. They're connected at the bottom and intertwined. Oh, that's really cool. I like that. Interesting. Okay, so I will say, from her at a neutral stance, and from this drawing here, I get a very kind of gentle vibe from her, if that makes sense. Like, she looks a little... Like, I get a very kind of, like, caring vibe from her. She seems very, like, kind and maybe, like, a little bit shy, even. Just from, like, the neutral stance. But when you go into the expressions here, I get more of that kind of, like, stubborn, independent kind of character. I'm wondering if you can bring that energy into, like, her neutral stance a little bit. I think part of it... So I really like this little smile that you have here, where it feels very sweet and genuine, where I think you get that very, like, helpful side of her, where she really cares about other people. Like, it gives that energy. Whereas I find with the neutral stance, it makes her look more demure, if that makes sense. The long hair is integral to her culture. Oh, that's really cool. So I'm wondering if you could bring in, because I think part of it is like when she's smiling in that one expression, like it's a little crooked, which is really nice. I think it just adds like that little bit of like personality kick to her. Whereas like her neutral is very, very gentle. So unless that's like what you're going for, where she has this very gentle appearance, and then like you talk to her and she's kind of like a little more stubborn and pushy. I think that works. Because, like, her other expressions, like, I definitely feel her personality more. Let's see. And I think between the hairstyles, the original you have, where she has the little tuft going down, on her forehead, it feels a bit more messy. So I think it depends on like how you want to characterize her. Like, is she a very, is she a little unkempt? Like she doesn't really, I mean, it could be like she doesn't care about her appearance, or maybe she's like a little messy, or maybe she's a little wild. Or you could do something like she cares more about other people than her own appearance kind of thing. But it just feels a little ruffled and messy to me. Whereas with this one, where it's a bit, with the side part, she feels a little bit more put together. And if she's, you know, having the twin braids that then get like interconnected and woven together, like that feels a bit more put together to me. So I think it depends on where you want to go with her personality. If she's a bit more kind of messy and unkempt, I think the original works really well. And obviously you could always take these and pull different pieces from them as you see fit. But I love the kind of through line of shape with her. So I love these little fluffy little tufts. I love her eyebrows that they come through there that match her hair. Adorable. She can get a little absorbed in what she does, enough to neglect her appearance. Okay, so I think that works then. If she has like a little bit of hair that's always in her face, it's like she's busy. Not gonna move her hair out of the way. I think that's a really cute character like moment. I also love the ears moving to convey emotion. That's just a personal thing I love. And is that like a tattoo or a birthmark on her shoulder? That's really cute. And again, like, yeah, I love the kind of like fluffy curl kind of look to everything. And there's a lot of roundness to her design. It's a tattoo. Okay, very cute. There's a lot of great roundness going on, where I love the shape of her nose, by the way. It's such a great like defining feature of her face. But yeah, a lot of her has a lot of kind of like roundness, and there could be some like kind of diamond or square shapes going on. But I like how they're all kind of like rounded off and really softened up. I wonder if you could bring a little bit of that into her ears. Because there's such like a nice kind of strong diamond shape to like her nose and her face shape and the eyes, and even the shape of the hair. I'm wondering, the ears are a little bit thin. I'm wondering if you could maybe like structure them up a little bit so they're more like the kind of like strong diamond shape. And then obviously like keep the movement and stuff, because that's great. She has 2 tattoos. One under her eye and the flower on her collarbone. Oh, okay. I see. I can see it a little bit on the eye. Oh, that's cool. And I think you can even push the diamond shape in her hair a little bit, because it's there in like the shape of like the different hair pieces and stuff. I'm wondering if you could bring it into like the overall silhouette a little bit, and you can even build her braids out of like that kind of soft diamond shape. But yeah. Yeah. I love her eyebrows. They're so cute. Love the fluffies. Awesome. Did you have any questions about this character? Anything you wanted me to cover? Always had trouble figuring out her shape language, but I love the diamond idea. I think it can work, because like square reads as very like sturdy. And if she's a character who's like, I want to be dependent on, a square can work, but then kind of like changing it to a diamond, it can make her a little bit like pointy, if that makes sense. And of course they're rounded off because she seems like a very kind character, but I think it brings in that like, she has some sharp edges to her. What do you think about the colors and tones? I think they work very well. I love the soft kind of like strawberry orange of the hair. And then there's like, for the skin, it feels like a lightened up version. It's like brought over a little bit more to the yellow side. But there's good contrast between like the hair and the skin. Bringing in the gold for the hair bands, I think really works because it plays well off the hair and between the skin tone. Yeah, and they're nice. They're very... You're using like some nice bright colors, but they're pulled back and desaturated enough that it's not like crazy vibrant. It gives a very kind of earthy feel. I've assigned shape to most of my characters. The other two are round, square, and oval rectangle. Oh, hell yeah. Good. Hell yeah. That's all for her? Okay. Awesome. So we can, oh, what a cutie. Third image is another main character, Jasper. I was curious if I could improve the outfit and what you thought his design conveyed personality-wise. Okay. Personality-wise, he looks shy. He looks kind of meek. He looks kind of like he'd be really, really quiet and wouldn't speak up unless, like, comfortable with a friend or, like, spoken to kind of thing. So, I love the color palette. I think there's a nice... like cohesion to the colors. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I love the kind of like warm browns used in the hair, and then these kind of like mustardy gold yellows used on the clothing. He's bookish and thoughtful. I might be able to do more to convey that. Yeah, I can see the thoughtfulness. I think part of it is like if there was more kind of like expression and posing going on, it might be a bit better. But yeah, he looks very gentle. Right, but the color profiles where, yeah, it again, it's a nice kind of like subdued color palette where there's brightness coming in through the gold, but it's pulled back and desaturated to a point where it's not like super overpoweringly vibrant. I think contrast-wise, things could be pushed a little bit. I find, especially in the face, his skin tone really blends in with the hair. Now, I like the cohesion between all of the colors. So, like, they all work really well together. I like that you brought in some, like, brown tone into the eyes. That's really nice. I like how there's differentiated color between his skin tone and then the fur on his ears, as well as like the different hair pieces, but I think the contrast needs to be pushed. Welcome to the stream, Monster Garden. I could bring in some red tone to his hair or skin. Yeah, that could work. I think... Actually, I don't know if it's a tone thing, because I think there's a good balance of like the kind of reddish brown in the hair. And I like the kind of, the skin feels like a bit, like a midpoint between like the gold and the brown of the hair. And I like that. I think it's really just a contrast thing where it's very dark around his face. Yeah, the value. The value meaning how light or dark something is. So not necessarily like, not necessarily how saturated or desaturated, though that plays into like whether something looks light or dark. but it but the lightness or darkness, not necessarily bringing in a different color, but just changing the lightness or darkness of the color. So right now I'm finding just like everything is very shadowed in the face. It's very dark. Where I think if you brightened things up a bit, it's hard because he has obviously like darker skin. You don't want to lose that. But playing around with how the contrast, so that there's good contrast between like his ears versus the horns versus the skin and the hair. I would try, because I do, as much as I like how subdued the colors are, try bringing in a little bit of saturation, because that might help. So if you have, say, like because maybe if you want to keep the hair dark, you can brighten up the saturation, so make it a bit brighter, but keep it dark. And then with the skin, you can maybe make it a little bit lighter and maybe bring in saturation so that it stays like dark skin. Because like white skin or light skin tends to be very desaturated. Whereas darker skin tends to be more saturated. I guess that's just like a light and dark color thing. Saturation in his horns and ears could help too. Yeah, exactly. Play around with the values and see what you like. But a good rule of thumb is like you want to be able to see the difference easily between different parts of the character. So like if you had... yeah, you want to be able to tell the face apart from the hair, for example. If, say, you're working on, like, the body of a character, if your character's hand crosses over their torso, like, does the arm get lost in, like, the color of the torso kind of thing? You want to make sure it stands out. That's, like, good rule of thumb stuff. I would also say, so I love, there's so much movement and stuff around in the face where it's very like these fluffy round shapes and like the very round, like fluffy squiggle stuff going on in the hair and on the ears, and very much like round shapes on the face. And then through the outfit, it's a lot more squared off. So I think you can keep that same profile. Like I think it's good to have like a mix of shapes through a character, so that they're not just like kind of one note. But I think some of the roundness needs to be brought into the rest of the character's outfit, if that makes sense. So that might be, you maybe need to add in some more elements to the outfit, like some rounder pieces on top of the square bits, just to make it kind of match the head of the character. A good rule of thumb is like if you cut your character into quarters, so like down the middle and then through the waist kind of thing, would each quarter of the character look like it comes from the same character? And right now I think the top of the character feels different than the bottom of the character, so that might be something you need to balance out. He's my little oval guy. I didn't think about the shape with the clothes. Yeah, so you could bring in the oval a bit more into the clothes, and that could be done easily by just like changing the shape of like the cowl. I think the waves on the like the bottom of the robe work, but just changing like the silhouette of the robe I think would help bring in the ovals more, because the ovals totally in the face, I think they're missing a little from the body of the character. Yeah, he's so cute. Listen, I love a sheep character, okay? Drop the cowl in the middle more. Yeah, exactly. Like bring out that oval a bit. Sheep, exactly. With your sheepy. Did you have any final questions? That's all I have. Better get going. There's nothing else you wanted to say? Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for submitting. And have fun with the rest of your day. Yeah. Rina, did you want me to look at your last piece? I appreciate you letting Junk get their critique in. That was sweet of you. That would be nice. Okay. So I think I said it before, but I can't go into each individual design, but I could talk about the lighting kind of quickly. Hello, Snoop Stoops. So I think overall, I like what you're doing with the lighting. So I like how you're playing around with like different angles for lighting. So like with Ramona, the first one, I like how it's like backlit. You've got a very warm kind of backlight. So the shadows are very cold, which is the rule of thumb for like lighting. If you have warm light, the shadows are cold. If you have cold light, the shadows are warm. So really well done there. And then I like the use of like little highlights like on the eyes to kind of make them bright, even though the front of the character is shadowed. I love the directional light on the mole wizard, where I think it really speaks well to the shape of the character when you can throw a light on them. And it really shows like the shape of the character, if that makes sense. Like it really, it can be really defined. So I like how you get like the roundness of the head and the nose. You get a little bit of like the hat and everything from the light. Yeah, just a very great shaped character, and the lighting really helps. Again, you're using a warm light and then cool shadows, very good. For Kobiko, this monstery character, the lighting is really cool. So it's a very like direct head-on lighting. And the light feels cool. It's hard to tell because the character's coloring is very cool. But the shadows feel a bit warmer, and I really like how you've used them to carve out the shapes on this character very well, and then leaving little bits of like highlights, say like on the bottom of the eye there. He's an alien. He's a little weirdo. We stan a little weirdo alien. But just really great use of like the shadow and lighting to really define the shapes. So with Lance, I think you've done a very good job with defining the shapes using the shadow. So like again, there's a very direct light source coming in from the left, from the right. And you've defined like the shapes of like the hair and the hat and on the face very well. I think the color could be like pulled a bit more. Like the lighting could be a bit more dramatic, kind of like how with Ramona and the Mole Wizard you use some more kind of like dramatic color for the lighting. It would be interesting. It feels a little flat just because it's a little bit desaturated color-wise. But shape-wise, I think you did a great job with the colors. For Dynamo Joe, I think the shadow stuff is really cool here. I like how you have, it seems like a few different light sources coming in. So there's a big light coming in from the left side where we see most of the face, but then there's like a little bit of lighting here. So we get like the kind of, the shadow kind of line on like the chin, and down the neck and the shoulders. I think that's a very cool effect, and I'd love to see more of that. And again, there's like a little bit of saturation, especially on this like backlighting here, that kind of like pops. I'd like to see it like pushed a bit more, where the shadows are a bit more saturated and darker, and then the lights can kind of shine more. Kobiko controls the radio waves. Very cool. I base the lighting on the different environments they'd be in. Oh, I like that. That's a great idea. I think it works. I think you've done a good job there. I think for Lance, because it looks like he's in kind of like a day setting, there's like a forest behind him, you maybe could push it to be a bit more of like a yellowy kind of green light, and then make the shadows a bit more red. And then I like your little portrait. That's really cute. That would make sense. Yeah, because if it's sunlight, it would be very like yellowy light. Yellow or green, because it depends on like, I guess, atmospheric stuff. But yeah, so you could use a yellow light and then have a bit more of like purpley blue shadow, or you could do a green light and have a bit more of like a reddish shadow. Thank you's no problem. No problem. Did you have any questions about this one? This is a cute exercise, by the way. Drawing all your OCs. Thank you, no problem. All right. I think... Is there a forum where these are submitted? Yes. So there should... So we run it through our Patreon, which gives you access to the Discord and... or the Patreon side of the Discord, which then gives you all like the rules and stuff for submitting, and we do it monthly. So if you signed up this month, you'd be able to submit your stuff next month. Hopefully that makes sense. Snoop Stoops. There should be a link down below to the Patreon, which has all the information you need. I guess one I have, less a question. Rumpel next. Thank you, Kuroe. Rina, what is your question? / less of a question. I wanted to ask about the long form crit guidelines. Yeah, sure. What is your question? So I guess I could expand on that for Snoop Stoops or anyone who's listening and is thinking about submitting. So we have long form and short form. So long form, you're able to submit like a comic script or a bunch of comic pages you're working on. You can submit like prose, like a short story or a piece of a novel. And Bones, the writer, he can look at writing stuff. I can look at art stuff. And then the short form is stuff like this, where we look at like character designs, setting designs, illustrations, maybe one comic page. So yeah, so that's the difference. But we do them monthly. I'm just vibing to the music now. Good to know, good to know. Yeah. I want to finish and submit the script I have. My question is, would you be able to do mine in a call? So we can't do that for the Oh wait, what do you mean by a call? Do you mean you'd want to call in here? Or would you want to do like a personal one-to-one with like me or Bones? Because we have the one-on-one available. It costs a bit more, but we can do like a one-on-one where we can like, you can give us like a big piece of script or comic and we can kind of personally help you work through it. Whereas this tier of the critique stuff is like we do it all on stream, as you know. But if you're thinking like you'd want to call into this stream while we go over it. Okay, because if people wanted to call into this, my answer is probably not, but I could talk with Bones and we could see. But yeah, but if you want personal one-on-one, we do have that available through the Patreon. Thank you for the info. No problem. Well, thank you for submitting. Epic. Right, Rumpel. I swear I will not forget the order. Okay. Rumpel. Where are you, my friend? So a few of you, I really appreciate you guys asking, but a few of you submitted some horror art, and this was one of them. And you were like, is it okay to submit horror art? The answer is yes. But yeah, this is so cool. Okay. So right, this is a creature design from your current project. Right, which had Rowan and Lou, which was like there's like a creepy cult thing going on. Very eldritch horror stuff. Okay, so you want a reading on vibes before reading the description, and this is for a god. Okay. I'm hype. This is so cool. I gotta say, so freaking cool. I'm into it. Okay, so I'm getting eldritch god, you know, some cosmic stuff going on, obviously, as it is a god. I'm getting decay and regrowth, like that cycle of like decay and rebirth kind of stuff. I'm getting some Dionysus vibes with like celebration and wine, but the wine could also be a metaphor for blood. I don't know. Such a cool spooky design, right? So cool. And I'm getting some like, I'm not exactly what it would be, but there's something with like the like drooly stuff going on that reminds me of like honey or nectar. So maybe it's like, which could tie into the wine. So it could be like, like harvest, maybe like good fortune for good harvest, or whatever you would call it. Famine, but they caused it. Yes. Yeah. But yeah, I'm getting like cyclical vibes. I'm getting bounty vibes. At the sassy paw on the hip. Yes, we stan. I feel like you would show up to a feast with this creature and all the food would look delicious, and then you'd start eating, and then it would all like rot away and you'd be like, ugh. That's the vibe I get. And then you'd make a deal and it would steal your soul or something. But yeah, it's super, super cool. And I love the use of the different animals as well. That's so cool. Definitely on the right track. Hell yeah. Yeah. Okay. So now I will read the description. This is a fertility god. Okay. That makes sense with like the whole bounty and harvest and stuff. Virili is the name. The deity worshipped by the cult featured in the story due to world building. A long explanation that isn't needed. The various gods in the pantheon are all connected to different animals in color. Virili's animal is the hyena. Thus his 4 faces are the 4 extant species of hyena. Oh, that's really cool. And his associated color is gold. He's one of the primary antagonists. That is very cool. I was wondering I was wondering about the different faces because I could see hyena in some of them, but I was wondering if the main one was cheetah, but I could see it at, yeah, another hyena. That's really cool. Super, super cool. But yeah, I love this design. This is awesome. Okay, so I've told you the vibes. Was there any specific... They need a chiropractor god. Listen. Spotted hyena is the middle, striped hyena the top, brown hyena is the right, and aardwolf is the left. Interesting. That's so cool. I'm into it. Was there any other feedback you were looking for outside of like the vibe check? Because I think you've done a really cool job with like the melding of the creatures where they look like they're all the same. And like, I love how there's little distortions and like multiple eyes. And the multiple arms. I love the little like bone piercings throughout. And yeah. Feedback on the posing. It was rather difficult to achieve. I want to know if it works. I think overall it works very well, where it feels very planted on the ground, where I like how you have the hands here that are like balanced on the ground. You can see like the hip and leg touching the ground. I also really like the interaction between like having the one arm pouring the wine and the other one holding it. Yeah, so I think all of the limbs, all the arms and stuff work really well. They feel very grounded, while also still feeling very like a cool kind of like godly mystical pose and everything, where they're all being used too, which is awesome. I think... Yeah, so you can tell, like, they're kind of laying on their hip. And then, like, stretching their... curving their back. I think it works. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's any issues like anatomy or pose wise. Cuz there's like cuz there's a good sense of like where the chest is and that there's some curve and we can see like the side of the hip. I'd be curious to see them in more poses. I think something that the thing is you might already have this and I'm just like being a jerk, but making sure that you have like a turnaround for the character, because when you have a character with like multiple limbs from the front, it can be really easy to be like, oh, all the limbs show, but then you turn to the back and it's like, or the side, and it's like, where do all these arms come out? So I think if you haven't already, obviously, if you have, then amazing. But yeah, understanding like depending on the way the character is turned, like making sure that all the limbs and heads still work. Okay, good. I figured, I was like, as I said it, I was like, I'm being a jerk, just assuming that you haven't. Yeah, so that makes sense. But yeah, it is very, very cool. And yeah, I think the posing works really well. It gives this very, like, hedonistic kind of vibe. Like, it's almost like a sensual kind of pose. Looking up skeletons of hyenas might help the design. Then you also have to look at animal bones. Listen, whenever you're trying to draw a new species that you haven't drawn before, the skeletons are so helpful. I find it's hard to get like good drawings of like how the musculature works, because like, I don't know, I don't want to look at like a skinned animal, obviously. But it sometimes is hard to find good like anatomical drawings to reference. He walks bipedal when he does walk. Hell yeah. Yeah, because I find the animal heads are very well structured. Even though they're like melting together, you know, in that cool kind of horror way. But yeah, the posing is very cool. Like I said, I get like Dionysus vibes because it's very like sensual. Did you have any other questions? Oh, I also wanted to say the colors are very good because like there's a lot of different colors going on between the different animal parts, but I like how there's this kind of like yellow gold through line, and I like how like there's the yellow roses, there's the yellow tint to the bones, there's the yellow on the fur, and even though it's like you have some animals that have more gray in the fur and some that are more brown, it still feels very like cohesively brought together color-wise. And I love the pops of the red and the green. It's just very cohesive the way you've done it. And I love the yellow because like they've got like the glowing yellow eyes and it just feels so sickly and it's so good. The anatomical ref was an issue I had with the thing I submitted, the struggle of constant. Yes, finding references when you're drawing horror stuff and you're like, I have to look at the most horrible things to understand how this works. Yeah, no, I feel you. Yeah, I remember, oh, it was for a project that we haven't ever put out, but there was a character that was kind of like half decayed, so I had to look up like, there was a video I found of like a pig carcass decaying, so I had to see what different states of decay looked like. It was not pleasant, but I learned. So yeah, that's the awful things I've looked up for art. Getting myself put on lists with my horrible search history. I'm glad he comes across the way I hoped, creepy but kind of sensual. Yeah. Yes. Totally. Did you have any other questions? Oh. He's so cool. I'd make a deal with him. I want to be a mortician, so that stuff doesn't bother me. Oh, bless. See, we need people who can deal with that stuff. Use of food as reference. Similar effect, but less disturbing. Yeah, fair. That's a good point. See, we need people to work as like morticians and healthcare workers who can like stomach the the gross stuff, you know? It's an important part of society. That's everything. Thanks for your feedback. No problem. Thank you for submitting. Wait. Did we have another person who was lined up to go next? Because we have Kuroe, who I know is here. Pigment, who's also here. And then we have Tori and BedSquatter, who I don't know if you're here. I'm here. I managed to wake up. Do you want to go next, Tori? Okay, Cypress, do you mind waiting for Tori's to be done? Or is it better to, like, go right now? That's my... Aw, thanks, Tori. Okay, how about we'll do Cypress's first. And then Tori, you'll go next. Appreciate you guys being... Totally? Okay. Okay. So this was the other horror piece, and I'm glad you checked. They can go first. Well, now you guys have to polite battle each other to see who goes next. Sick. Okay. We'll go with Cypress. Thank you, Tori, for allowing them to go. Anyways, but yeah. So this is the other horror piece, and I asked Cypress to turn it to black and white, just so that all the bloody stuff doesn't get us in trouble with YouTube, even though we don't mind horror designs, as we are horror creators ourselves. Okay, so this mission is the boy in sparkles, Elliot. One of my player characters for the next campaign I'm planning. He's a ghost who lost his memories and has terrible anxiety. No! All one really knows is that his unaliving involves someone or something taking his lower jaw and tongue. Okay, resulting in him being mute in the afterlife. All feedback is welcome. Okay. Okay. So, I can... Okay. Right. So, from what I've seen of the colors, they work really well. Oh, you have them up here, which is nice. Where you have this very, you have kind of this teal as your, like, highlight color. And it works really well against the red from, like, the injury. So that plays off each other very well. You've got really great contrast, which is especially easy to see when you turn things black and white. You can see your contrast really easily in that value piece, where you've got some nice dark patches with, like, the hair being dark. You've got the different dark pieces of the clothing and armor, but then they're matched against lighter pieces, so there's good contrast kind of throughout the design, if that makes sense. I love the shape of... This sounds bad. I love the shape of the injury. It's cool design-wise. Where it... yeah, I just love how ragged it looks. It looks so much like it gives this very monstrous look, because it looks like the kind of jagged edges and stuff look kind of like monster teeth, if that makes sense. So yeah, it gives it this very cool, like, monstery look, even though he baby. I especially like the side profile. That looks very, very cool. And it's funny how his lack of mouth became his mouth. Like, it's ironically emotive. Yeah, totally. It blows my mind how he still looks friendly. Yeah, because he's just got this very, like, friendly... Like, outside of his jaw being missing, he's just got this very friendly, little sweet look to him. Where, you know, he can't look spooky. He's too adorable. He's got little puppy eyes. I do love the little sparkly eye expression. That's really cute. And it is funny. It's like you're saying how, like, having the jaw missing, when he's got the little sparkly eyes, it still kind of looks like a little happy smile. And when he's got the little scared face, it looks like a little, like, oh no face. So yeah, very well done. And I think that is a very cool story piece to have, like, he was injured in a way so he can't speak as a ghost. That's just a very cool, intriguing character bit. Where it's like, what does the killer not want him to talk about? And then you'll get to uncover it and all that fun stuff. I hope he has a good time. He gets better, I swear. I wonder... Because you have some little jagged bits. So, okay, sorry, what I'm thinking here is I find the hair... His hair has this very, like, kind of like... whatever my hands are doing. This kind of squiggly, scraggly kind of feel to it. In a good way. I know scraggly can be bad. That kind of mimics the shape of, like, the mouth wound. And then the blood dripping. Like, it just creates a nice little repetition. And it carries through a little bit through the other injuries on him. I'm wondering, it's hard because I know there's going to be maybe another form where, like, maybe he has his jaw back and stuff. He may be dead, but he's fine. I swear, he's fine. Just a little dead. I wonder if you can bring that kind of, like, shape motif through somehow. It's hard because it could be... It's hard because I feel like the injury stuff is supposed to be just, like, evidence of, like, his death. Whereas, like, before he died, he didn't have this, like, kind of tattered look. But I'm wondering if you can bring that kind of feeling through. Whether it's, like, maybe the clothes look a little bit more tattered and worn while he's in this state, or maybe adding a cloak or something. Maybe he's, like, hiding his injuries. I'm not sure. I think it's just his clothing looks very put together outside of, like, the gashes. And I'm wondering if you can maybe, like, rugged it up a little bit so it looks kind of, like, otherworldly and ghostly and kind of matches, like, his face. But for story purposes, if you're like, I don't want to do that, this is how he was before, and then the injuries are applied on top, that's totally fine. The goal at the end of the campaign is for him to be revived, so he won't be ragged in late campaign. Gotcha. Steal one of his shoes! Goodbye, shoes. Oh, a raggedy cloak made of the shroud he was buried in. That's cool. I'm into that. But, again, whatever works for your character. Yeah, I think that would be the only thing that I'm thinking. Because if I'm looking at, like, not the injury, and I'm thinking of, like, the character before he was killed, I think his outfit comes together nicely. Where it's very similar in shape and color and everything. He does have a cloak, but not in this image. Do a little raggedy cloak. You don't have to. But yeah. Did you have any other questions about the boy? Also, we love some pointy ears. You give any character pointy ears, they're my favorite. Nope, that covers it. Awesome. Okay, so we have Aurelia Motuma. The little baby. Okay. Second is Aurelia. The main character of the story I'm in the process of writing. You've seen her design once from the campaign I'm currently running. She's an NPC. Oh, that's what this last one is. Okay, yes. So I have seen Aurelia. Because she was is she a goddess? And she had like a partner who was another god? I feel like you'd have a goat companion that's always screaming. Bless. Ooh, or maybe a piece of clothing he snatched off his killer. Ooh. Nah, she's a human. She married a goddess. Okay. That's what I'm remembering. Yes. But she's so cute. Right. And I think there's some Indian motifs in her design, if I'm not mistaken. Right, now she's a mere mortal woman who is whisked away from her family due to her talents in divination. Any feedback is appreciated. I'd really like to hear your opinion on the colors and her were-dog form. Okay. Yes, the goddess's country is based off South India. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so, right. So this is her as her human form and then her were-dog form. Okay. That's a very interesting color transition. Because she goes from having these very, like, earthy green colors in her youth. And then it switches to red as she gets older. I'm curious if that's, like, a character-driven thing. Where maybe she was taken from her family. So that's, like, the stage where she's in, like, the green clothes as a young girl. And then she gets snatched. And they put her in red. Interesting. Okay, so through all the designs, I love the kind of ruffle shapes, because she has with like the vitiligo and her hair, these very kind of like fluffy cloud shapes. I like the ruffles in the dress as a young character. And they seem to be missing a little bit from this teenage version of her, but that I could see that for story reasons, where she's been taken, she's been put into clothing that maybe doesn't match her, and then as she gets older, the kind of ruffle, fluffy shapes come back in as she kind of comes into her own a bit. That's the vibe I'm getting. Hopefully that makes sense. If that wasn't the intention, I would recommend putting in a bit more fluffy stuff into her teenage outfit. I also... It is interesting how, as a young character, she has her hair covering her eyes, and then as she gets older, her eyes kind of... she allows them to be seen. The older clothes are more of a work uniform. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Okay. Either way, I do like the use of the ruffles that kind of like make it feel more like her. And work very good. They work very good. They work very well shape-wise. She's the princess's lady in waiting later in life. Oh, heck. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. She got snatched by a royal rude. Royal family, what you doing? Don't steal children. That's rude. Right. And then in her were-dog form, I like how her hair has just been like pushed back out of her face, so that whole like, maybe as a younger child she's like hiding her face with her hair. As she gets older she's a little more open, and then when she's in her like were form she's just like, rah, I'm all out here, I'm not hiding, I'm attacking. So yeah, so I think that's a nice touch. I love the spots on the fur to match her vitiligo. That's very cool. Love the ripped clothing. Very werewolf. I find so I can tell it's like werewolf-esque, obviously, because you got the big paws and claws and tail and stuff. I swapped the color scheme, the light spots became dark spots. Oh, that's cool. I like that. I find her face looks very dragon-esque more than canine. I think part of it is the teeth. Though obviously you can have like a wolf/dog character that has like the really big fangs. And part of it is the nose, I think. Like instead of having, because you know how dogs have like the little dark pad for their nose, where this is more, it feels more reptile, I think, just because it just melds in with the rest of the face. But that is kind of also a werewolf thing, where it looks a bit more human because it's like a canine mixed with a human. So that would be the only thing. I wanted to mix the human and dog features and make it look more freaky. Okay, I can definitely see that then. Because it does feel very like, yeah, that kind of uncanny werewolf look. In that case, then, I think you did a good job. I love how big she gets as a werewolf. Or a were-dog, sorry. And the fangs, I just wanted to make them bigger to be more menacing. See, that's what I figured. I figured. It was just supposed to be very, like, freaky looking. But yeah, I think you did a very good job. I think, like, anatomy and pose-wise, everything looks great across the character. I love the very subtle use of, like, these little, like, fabric stretch lines on the dress that you've done to really kind of show the form underneath the dress. Which makes sense that it would be, like, kind of stretched, because it's, you know, she's become a large creature compared to her normal dress. So yeah, so I think that's a really nice touch. And yeah, anatomy and pose-wise, everything looks good. Colors look good. Good contrast between everything. Did you have any questions about this? Oh, right. Opinions on the colors. Yeah, I think the colors work really well. I don't see any contrast issues. They look very cohesive. An American Werewolf in London has a great werewolf transformation scene. It's very spooky. I apologize. I'm gonna grab some water while you think of your question. going. Hurry up. No, I gotta help everyone. Got more of my orange water. Oh, he bonked me. My own husband bonked me. True. I would hope no one else's husband would bonk me on the head. That would suck. A customer asked you things. How dare they? Don't you know you're busy? God. I guess my only question is, does her personality show through? Okay. So she feels, personality-wise, she feels very, like shy, gentle, quiet. She feels very, like, nervous, if that makes sense. So I can see her, like, when she's young, she maybe just looks like a normal, shy kind of kid. Where, like, maybe she's hiding a little bit. She just seems kind of gentle, nice kid, kind of shy. As a teenager, she looks very down on herself. Like a very... She seems like she stands tall, like she's very prim, but very unsure of herself. And then even as an adult, there's some of that, like, yeah, like unsure of herself, low self-esteem kind of feel. Where she looks almost like doubtful of herself and maybe is very quiet. And I can see that working as a character who has been, like, kidnapped and forced into a role that maybe she didn't want. Thoughts on the scar on her teen form? Oh, I didn't even see the scar. Is that on her arm? Yes, exactly. Okay. Interesting. It's on her left arm? Okay. Our left. Okay, thank you. So I was like, working it out in my head. Right. I like the touch that she's hiding it, where it maybe feels like it's something she's self-conscious about. Is this a scar that was, like, put on her after, like, being taken on as, like, the divination person for the royal family? Love the belt hanging open on the full transformation, right? It's such a nice touch. I like the posing where it's like she's hiding it. I also feel bad because it looks like she's stuck in short sleeves. Right, it was a punishment. Oh, poor girl. I feel bad for her. She beat him up as a weird dog. Go munch munch. Yeah. It's very, like, colonial vibes, if that makes sense. Like, it feels very much like she's been stuffed into, like, Victorian clothing. Or, I guess earlier, but you know. Otherwise, no questions. Thank you so much. No problem.
Hey.
Hey. Hey, Buns. Fruit Loops. Did we tell? No, because we haven't really done videos a bunch, but Bones's stepdad, he came home with like 100 boxes of cereal that he'd bought for like $1 each. And they sent us a photo and was like, do you guys want cereal? We're like, how did you get this much? So they gave us some, which included Fruit Loops, which Bones is obsessed with right now. and some Rice Krispies. We had to make them Rice Krispie squares. It was a demand. And Raisin Bran, a delicious cereal. And then the rest that he wasn't going to use, he donated to the food bank, which was nice. He's funny. He works for a butcher shop, so he comes home constantly. He'll give us like tons of just like meat. They also do catering, so sometimes he'll be like, we had this extra stuff from the catering, do you want it? And we're like, sure. But I was like, why do you have cereal? You work at a butcher shop. And he was like, no, this was for me. It was cute. It was very, very cute. All right. Tori, thank you for your patience. Brother, may I have some loops? Yes. We will share. We'll share the loops. That's where you get your animal rest done. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't go visit the butcher shop. Hi, Tori. Thank you for waiting. Okay, so these are character designs for an adult crossover webcomic concept. I usually draw comics for younger readers. Okay, I've gotten really stuck on adapting my style for an adult protagonist. I'd love to hear what you'd assume from the costumes and designs about the characters' personalities and the genre. General feedback is also great. Don't worry about value contrasts. I was more concerned about shapes and silhouette. Okay, and then you put information under the spoiler tags. Okay, so I'll do a quick little character vibe. Okay, so let's see. For one, your style is really, really cute. It reminds me a lot of Maya Kern, who's an artist I really like. It's just very, very cute. Okay, genre. So it feels like a fantasy story. Where you have characters with swords. This first character feels almost like mage-ish, mage wizardy. The middle one feels more like maybe a bit of a warrior, and then Aura feels like maybe a blacksmith or a kind of maker character. But yeah, I get a fantasy vibe. I could maybe see like a sci-fi fantasy kind of thing where it's like a sci-fi setting but with like fantasy elements, but I'm mostly getting fantasy vibes from the characters. Okay, so Valor. Right. So I can definitely see the diamond shape through her design. I hadn't seen much of Maya Kern's art, but it's really cute. It is really cute. Right, but I can see the shapes that you're using. So obviously it's there in the face shape. You've got the little tiara. You've got some little half diamonds and things on different pieces of the clothing. You've got some diamond shapes in like her hips and her torso. The little diamonds on the boots, as well as like the foot shape. And it looks like you've also got a bit of like a rounder shape going through because there's like this little bit of like lace kind of skirting on her legs. You've got the round kind of what would you call that? Like a neck to the shirt. It's fantasy with some techie magic. Okay, I can totally see that. Or as an inventor or enchanter, more than a blacksmith. But I'm glad the general vibes are coming across. Yeah, I could totally see that. Right. So mostly diamond, but there's a little bit of roundness coming through. I think for the roundness And for the diamond, I think there's some places where it could be pushed a little bit more. I'm mostly thinking in her cape, where I'd almost like to see it kind of put into like a bit of a triangle shape at the bottom, like just lengthening the middle a little bit so it comes back in a diamond shape. I think that would push the diamond shape a little bit more. Where it's just very squared off, where compared to the rest of her, which is very diamond and a little bit rounded off. And I think I'd like to see the little fluffy little ruffles, because it's in her hair. It's in the neck of her shirt. I wonder if it needs to be brought into like the shoulder pieces a little bit maybe, or maybe a bit on the boots. I think it just needs like one more touch somewhere else on the design to really like pull it together. And then as for vibes, she looks very sweet and bubbly. She looks like a very cheerful character. I get a bit of like, I think it's the kind of like bodysuit she's wearing. It feels very like a performer mixed with like a wizard kind of vibe. Where I don't know, it feels a little bit like I get magical girl vibes, I get like dancer vibes. So maybe she's a bit more like performative, like a bit more outgoing and out there, if that makes sense. That's kind of the vibe, but she has like a very gentle, sweet face. As for Seb, right, so she looks like a fighter or a warrior, with her swords. Right, and there's a triangle shape. But I can also see the circles being brought in, because you have like this chain kind of loop for the belt. You have some circles in on the, it looks like it's gloves? Gloves on her hand. There's some little circles. Same with on the knife. It looks like there's a little circle piece to the back of her hair. Performer is a cool take. That makes sense and does fit because she's sort of a symbolic figure. Oh, to a lot of people is a powerful mage. Oh, I like that. That's cool. Right. I think silhouette-wise, Seb feels very triangular. I can see it with like the shape of the sleeves and the hair. I think it's missing a little bit from the bottom half of the character, where I get a lot of that roundness coming in, like with the ruffles on the skirt. But I think it's missing some of the triangularness. I think it's a bit too rounded out. So possibly whether that's like bringing in another layer on the outfit to kind of give it a bit of flair, or changing like the silhouette of the skirt somehow, to bring in that triangleness. It could be an inverted triangle where maybe it's like tall at the top and then skinnier at the bottom, or it could be skinny at the top, wide at the bottom, whatever feels right for your character. I like the little pattern at the collar, where it looks like either some ties or like a little cutout pattern on around the neck, but it feels too square. It feels too much like the diamond shapes for Valor. I think you need to kind of like lengthen them so it feels a bit more like a triangle rather than like a diamond. But I like the idea of them. It adds some nice texture. I think the hair shape makes sense, where it's very triangular. I like the little bit of the wave brought in to bring in some of that softness from like the circles. But But yeah, I think it's the lower half of the character that feels very off shape-wise. But I think the top half works really well. As for like the kind of character she is, she feels like a teacher. I'm not sure why. She has like teacher vibes. She feels very like sturdy and kind, if that makes sense. Like a very caring character. But I feel like she can also kick butt. Hopefully that makes sense. And then for Aura, right, so Aura has a very teardrop shape, which I can see throughout the whole design, I think. Add triangles to Seb's lower half, yeah. And then Aura, so I love the cut of her dress, where it's like you've got two teardrop shapes making up like the bodice slash apron. You've got like the inverted teardrop for the apron. You can see like teardrop shapes built into the skirt. I love the little shapes on the boots. And then just that she has like a I think just because the shapes are built into like the clothing, it really makes her body type feel very like teardrop shaped. I think it needs to be brought into her face a little bit more. Her face is very rounded, where it feels like it's like almost there, but it's missing kind of like the pointed taper of the teardrop. Where it's very round. I think it fits aesthetically, but there just needs to be some kind of like taper bit to it. Which you could do through the chin, like giving her kind of like a heart-shaped face, but I don't know. I kind of like the roundedness to her chin. It could be like a different element, because like obviously she has like very curly hair. You wouldn't want to, well, there's ways you could give it a taper and still have it be curly, obviously. But yeah, her face just feels too rounded. There needs to be some kind of like teardrop piece to it. But her body type and her clothing all feels very teardrop. And then there's some nice little kind of like horizontal lines going through as that other element. In some versions of her design, her cheekbones were higher and more pointed. Yeah, that could definitely work if she has kind of like the bottom half is like very teardrop and then the top half is very teardrop. I think that would work really well. Yeah, and then her personality, she seems like a little unsure of herself. I feel like a very gentle kind of vibe, where maybe she's very competent at being like this inventor, but then maybe not so good with social people. So yeah. That's the vibe. Okay, so I will read the characters. So Valor, the hero. Her magic allows her to bond with a dragon. Oh, cute! She used to love it, but it's become a massive burden. She's single-handedly keeping her nation from falling to invaders. When there's finally peace, she doesn't know what to do with herself. I think it's an allegory for rekindling our love for our art after a big project burns us out. Oh, that's so sweet. Valor's been the protagonist in prior drafts, and I'm considering switching to an ensemble cast. Oh, cute. That's a lot of pressure, right? Valor, Seb, Valor's love interest. She's trained to be a knight, only discovered that her magic gives her the power to protect, but never to harm. Oh, that's so cute. She can only use her swords defensively, like knocking away attacks with a magical flair. She was considered a failure at the Knights Academy until she was handpicked by Valor to be her bodyguard. Despite saving Valor's life several times, Seb can't shake the feeling that Valor would be better off with someone who could also fight. No! Seb! I love them. I love them already. I will protect these girlfriends. And then Aura, Seb's best friend and roommate. They were roommates. An inventor who most unusually has no innate magic. She invented devices to collect magic from the air, and she enchants with it. When her city is evacuated, her goal is to advance magic tech to make it safe for herself and Seb to return home. But when her own dormant, mysterious magic awakens, she's suddenly drawn to a different life that she never knew she wanted. Oh my god, I love them all. They're so cute. These girlfriends will protect each other. Exactly. Oh, that's so sweet. I think you really guessed their personalities, which is fantastic. Yeah, I think you've got a very great way of characterizing your characters through their expression, through their shapes and their stance. Yeah, I think you did a really great job. Oh my god, that story sounds so cute.
Madoka, what are you doing?
Madoka! Goopy! Hi, Madoka, what are you doing? You being bad? She's being sussy. What's this sussy dog doing? What are you doing? What's going on, Bubby? Do you want to come up? Do you want to come up? Yeah, hello. I don't think she's in camera. Oh, a little bit. Hi, baby. Hi. What's up? You being silly? Yeah. Anyways. Okay. Did you have any questions, Tori? The puppy. Now she went over to Bones to cry. For attention. Oh, bo, bo, bo. A pepperoni. No questions. That was great. No problem. Thank you for submitting. All right, Kuroe. I know you're here. I have a question, if you don't mind. How much is too much when designing a character? It really depends on what you want. The stream has been blessed. It really depends on what you want with a character, because some stories you can have very complicated characters. Where they can have lots of accessories, they can have lots of details. It really depends on the project you're going for. I think... Yeah, so things can be detailed. I tend to err on the side of simplifying, because if you're working on a comic, you're going to have to be repetitively drawing these things over and over again. So a simplified design makes it easier to recreate your character accurately every time you draw them. There's a good limit for a comic. Yeah, exactly. Exactly what Birdie is saying. Yeah, if it's too detailed, you can regret it. One of my first characters from our comic, Sovereign, he had these really intricate tattoos all over his body, and I very quickly put clothes on that boy so I wouldn't have to draw the tattoos, because they were really hard to recreate over and over again. And I think on a general level, I think a design can be too much when all of the elements don't feel cohesive. Like, I don't know. I'm sure you can think of character designs that maybe you've seen where it's like too many colors that are clashing or too many elements that are clashing. But I think, you know, art is subjective. You could take something that theoretically clashes and make it work. So it really depends on what you're going for. Are you critiquing anyone's art? And if so, how do I submit? So we're critiquing the work of our Patreon supporters. So if you would like to submit, there should be a link to the Patreon, which will give you access to the Patreon side of our Discord, which then has all like the rules for submitting. And we won't be taking anything for this stream. But if you are interested, you can sign up and we can look at your stuff next month for our next stream, because we do these monthly. cries in setting a comic in Edwardian Toronto. So many frills. Oh my god, for real. Listen. It's like if you if you made like a Baroque setting with all of the frills. No problem. Okay, Kuroe, you've been very patient. Let's look at your stuff. Last through the main team from 6s and 7s, right. So the last few characters you've been submitting. General critique and perceived personalities. Okay. Let's see. So, Captain Kristen Hollands. He looks very tough and menacing, and he's gonna loom over you and be very frightening. That's what I feel. I feel like he glares at you and you're like, ugh! You know? He's a sturdy hunk of a man. I was gonna do a Baroque one, but gave up. It's a lot. Baroque is a lot. Art Nouveau is difficult enough, right? Listen. Yeah, so that's Captain Hollands. Very frightening. Tough guy. Maybe has a heart of gold, maybe not. I feel like he's very quiet. He you just get like a little nod from him every once in a while. Then Belle Bayleaf is a Sweetums. I feel like she is I feel like she's the mom friend. I feel like she's looking out for everyone. She's very sweet. She can maybe be like peppy and cute, but she's very like down to earth and very helpful. That's the vibe I get. Gentle mom friend. And then Soft Tower. He looks like he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's got something to prove. He looks very determined and intense, and like you talk to him and you're like, is he angry at me? But he's not. He's just intense. And maybe he picks fights with people because he's insecure. That's my vibe. I hope that made sense, Kuroe. Okay. So Captain Hollands is an automotive mechanic. Oh, cool. You got them. See, you're good at characterizing them. You're just so good with it. You can show their little personalities through their little stances and their expressions. It's so good. Okay, so I relate with Belle. I think me and Belle are the same person, personally. Okay, so Captain Hollands. So like I said, very stern character. You can really see it through like the shapes where he's very like squared off, very sharp, pointy. He's got like a very intense expression that's very like sharp and angry. His stance is very like broad and I don't know, pulled back and intense. Yeah, I'd be curious to see, because if he's an automotive mechanic, I'd be curious to see in his little workshop clothes and not his cool military uniform suit. But yeah, very, very strong shape stuff. I think the color of his suit is very dark. It's like near impossible to see the details on the suit. I think that could be fixed with just lightening up the color a little bit, adding in some shading, to really show the details of the suit. I think that's the only thing that's really missing. But otherwise, shape-wise, looking good. As for Belle, I I like her contrast to the captain because she's his assistant. I like how he's all like orange and red and she's very blue. It creates good contrast between them where he's maybe more fiery and she's more kind of like calm and cool. And I think that works. I also like how, well, his hair has like this little uppity spike. I like how hers is very like flat at the top and then has some little downward little spikies. Where I think it's just a nice little flip of the shapes. And she is also very like square, like she's a very rounded character. She seems very like yeah, just very rounded off shapes where like the captain is very like sharp corners and stuff where she's more rounded off. But there's still that kind of square motif going through her, which I think pairs them together as characters. That makes sense? Makes them a pair. Bella's Holland's love interest. Oh, they're gonna kiss. We also love a height difference. Though, I can't believe he's 7 foot tall. This man. And she's 6 foot. My God. Tall people smooching. Let's go. But they still have a height difference. Okay, and then for soft data scientist, he's very square. Like the shape of his head is very squared off. He's got some like little vertical lines creating rectangles in him. Very squared off. His collar, his like starched collar is even very square as compared to like the captain's. I think that's a very sturdy choice. Again, I'd be a little bit careful. I think overall there's good contrast through his design. I would just be careful about being able to see the detail on his suit. The color is a little bit dark as compared to the line art. Again, this can be fixed with like adding in some highlights through shading or maybe adjusting the color so it's a little bit lighter and you can see the fine details. Does the name at 6s and 7s make sense? Oh, they're all really tall. Is that why? Oh my God. I love it. Be cute if Belle managed to cabe don him against the wall despite their height difference. Yes. The term makes sense for this story. It's because they're all 6 and 7 foot tall. Let's go. I don't think they can be spies because I know they're probably like military, but they can't be spies. They're too tall. They'd stand out too much. Can't blend into a crowd. Did you have any questions, Kuroe? Or Chloe, as you claim. It's an exploration escort company. Request their tallest for plot reasons. I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you. Okay, BedSquatter. Where are you, friend? Where are you? Kuroe is Chloe in Japanese. Yeah. I know. It's just funny. It's funny. You know? You know, I could be funny. Alright. Our last person very graciously made changes to their submission for me, and I appreciate it. Alright. I don't know if you're here. If you are, please let me know, and I'm happy to answer questions. Because I know how dare I use my legal name? Yeah, gosh. Oh, you're Blanket Gremlin. Okay, perfect. You've been here the whole time. Okay. As some art for critique, I'm hoping to have an outside opinion on the characters, how it can be interpreted just from their designs. I have a lineup. Yes, and you submitted the 3 for me to look at because they appear first. Sorry, I'm touching the mic. I shouldn't do that. Right, and then you gave me a version with information. So I'll do the vibe check and then I can read about them. I'm worried the art is a bit blurry from the canvas size. Oh, I didn't notice. I think it should be good. Otherwise I hope it's all right. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so I'll do a quick little vibe check. So Toki, our little orange lady. Toki feels very peppy, very bubbly, maybe very outgoing, makes lots of friends. She feels adventurous, maybe? Yeah, I feel like she'd just show up anywhere and be able to talk with anyone. That's the vibe. For Henri, I feel like apologies if I'm getting the genders wrong here. I feel like he's very reserved. He's maybe kind of mean. Like he does like snide little jibes at you. But is secretly like a gentle sweetheart underneath. But he's like, no, I'm too cool to talk to you. I'm too cool and smart. And he just glares, you know, like that kind of character, the moody one. And then Ginkgo looks like the soft boy or lady or NB. I don't know. But yeah, Ginkgo looks very gentle, very soft, maybe very like nurturing. They look like a gardener or a flower shop owner kind of thing. Her name is pronounced like Pocky, but with a T. Okay, Taki. Sorry. Thank you. But yeah, very gentle, soft boy vibes from Ginkgo. And I don't know what the story is, but it feels like a little cafe romance to me. I think it's just because you have, it feels like, it might just because of some of the props they're holding, but in my head, they work at a cafe. Maybe Ginkgo works grows all the tea leaves in-house and makes them. And then Henri is like the waiter. And then Toki is either a customer or the manager or something. I don't know. That's the vibe I get. And it's a little romance comic. That's my wild theory. Sorry, did I say Toki again? Taki. And then did I open the other one? I did. That's a good summary of their characters. Yes. See, you did a good job with characterizing them. Because we got the bubbly one, we got the little reserved one, and we got the soft baby, you know? Let's go. Alright, so Taki. Missions agency. Oh. Desires excitement, fears boredom and monotony. Mama by me. I can speak. A nomadic adventurer seeking the excitement and intrigues of the world in her travels. We've got Henri Graham. Missions agency. Desires normalcy. Fears mistakes and consequences. Oh, baby. A tired young man who owns an occult store, despite his disdain in the belief of the supernatural. I love that. I love a little skeptical boy running an occult store. And then Ginkgo-sen. Faction independent, desires independency, fears favors and debt. A hardworking young man, having studied a vast network of trades before his recent apprenticeship as an herbalist. Cute. Okay. So maybe it's not a cafe story. I'm very curious. I'm still writing the Cafe AU in my head, no matter what the story is. So sorry, I've stolen it away to my little fanfic. But yeah, they're so cute. I think you conveyed the personalities really, really well. Same. I'm very curious about what this story is, because it sounds like they're from very different walks of life kind of thing, doing very different things. Cafe is their cover. Yeah, and I'm curious about how they all interact, because I know there's more characters that I wasn't able to look into, but yeah. I'm wondering if the story is based on the philosophy of attracting the things you desire as you're drawn to them. The same can be said about a fear greater than that desire. Oh, interesting. Is it kind of like just like an ensemble story about like them kind of bringing their fears into their lives? That's interesting. And then, you know, pursuing their desire. I do get romance vibes just because of the logo you've created with the little heart. Right, Taki. So I can definitely get the adventure vibe. I think it's just the outfit she's wearing where like honestly, I don't know why, it's the little shorts that give me adventure vibes. So yeah, I can totally see her as like someone traveling, like I said, talking to anyone all the time. Yeah, and her colors being very like orange is just very spunky. She's got kind of like a bit of a feathery shape to her. You can see it a lot through her hair and then through the little bandana she's got on her arm. Whereas like the rest of her outfit is very square. I wonder if you could bring in some of that kind of like wing fluffy shape in through the rest of her somehow. Whether that's like maybe a design on her shoes or some socks or something. Maybe adding a little bit of like, I don't know, ruffle or embroidery to her clothing, something like that to bring it in. It's a love letter to different story genres. Taki is a fantasy protagonist. Onir is a YA character, and Ginkgo is one of those slice of life episodic characters. Oh, I love that. That's so cute. I can definitely see Taki as like a fantasy protagonist. For Henri, he's got a very like square shape to him, like in the shape of his hair, it's very like squared off. He's got like the square shape to the collar and the shirt and the vest. Yeah, I also love the little slippers. That's very cute. The pants flare up when she stands. Since they're too big for her size, that's so cute. Okay, I can see that working. I can see that working really well for the shapes. Yeah, and then even on the bandages, Henri has like this very squared off look. I love the slippers. It's just a cute little touch for this very like monochrome kind of dark character. I think it's a nice touch that can maybe show like him opening up a bit. Yeah. And the colors work well. There's pretty good contrast between all of the elements. Same with Taki. I'd be a little bit careful between her pants, jacket / blazer and her hair. Just ensuring that like the hair stays light enough, because it is that kind of same orangey red. Making sure it stays light enough that it doesn't blend in with the blazer, if that makes sense. Make sure there's enough contrast there. He's there to be... He's the be there or be square guy. Yes, exactly. And then Ginkgo has just the little leaf motif. Like I love the little fluffs coming off the hair. It reminds me of little leaves. He's very rounded. I think some of the roundness could come in through the outfit a bit. It's very squared off. I wonder if you could bring in a little bit more. You could almost, because you know how like the hair has this little kind of like flared shape to it, if that makes sense. I think you could maybe like do something like flaring the sleeves so they're a bit more like a bell shape, if that makes sense, to kind of fit the little hair fluffs. And maybe bringing in a bit more roundness into like the apron and the rest of the clothing, I think could really fit the vibe and keep him very soft. But yeah, I like, so with Henri and Taki, they're very monochromatic, like just using one color for the character. I like for Ginkgo how like the standout color is very much like green, with this very kind of like pale green, oh my god, what's the word? Apron? That really plays well off like the greenery and stuff. And I like how there's contrast with like the red in the eye. And then you have this very nice like earthy brown for like the hair and the pants. The colors just match very well, even though it's not monochromatic. Whereas like Henri, I like Henri personally being kind of monochromatic, with the little pop of pink with the slippers, because it feels like it fits his personality very well. Or he seems very kind of like bland, not bland, but you know, very serious. I think having like a very muted monochromatic color scheme really works. Taki, I wonder, I mean, I don't know the purpose of her in the story, if like maybe the orange and the I get like a fiery vibe or a sunny vibe. But I wonder if there is more color you could bring into her somewhere, even if it's just like a little, I don't know, a pop of blue or something to contrast the orange, whatever works for the character. Because Ginkgo feels very balanced. But I wonder if you could push some other colors with Taki. It depends on the story though. If monochromatic works for her, then stick with it. Leaves and herbs are foreshadowing to what happens to him in the story proper. Ooh, interesting. Ho ho ho. Oh ho ho ho. Did you have any other questions about these characters? Anything I didn't cover? Also, I love your style. It's very adorable. I love how just like soft everything looks. It's very soft and friendly. My worries with the photo resolution came since Henri has bite marks on his neck. Vampire. Oh, I can see that. Okay. Was he attacked by a vampire? Oh, snap. That's my fault. I was doing a very pulled out look at them. Cute. Oh, he got the little gap in her tooth. That's so cute. I also like how part of his hair is tied back. That's cute. It's all just cute. Yeah. Oh, and the cute little leaf detailing on the apron. Oh, that's adorable. Vampire. A vampire who doesn't believe in himself, maybe, but he's not a vampire. Oh ho ho ho. I like that. Interesting. Is that why he works at the occult store? Because he was attacked by a vampire? I also like the texture, the little kind of canvasy texture that's on top of things. And it's nice. It's a nice little touch. Mariko, what's the matter? My dog is crying. She wants me to stop streaming. But I will not. Perhaps. His roommate's snake got peckish. Yeah. Exactly. Just did a little... Okay. Awesome. Right. Did you have any other questions? Anything I didn't cover? Let's see. We looked at Tori, BattleBox, JunkPixel, Pigment, LesBean, Kuroe, BedSquatter, and Rumpel. Okay, so this is the last one. So yeah, please let me know if there are questions. Otherwise, we are wrapping up the stream. So like I've said before, a few times this stream, if you would like to have your stuff looked at, you can join our Patreon, and we do this every month. And you can sign up and join us next month and get your stuff looked at. I guess lastly, what do you think of their hairstyles? I like them. I think they suit the characters very well. Ginkgo has that very... it gives him that very, like, gentle, soft look. Where... I don't know how to describe it, but I totally get that, like, slice of life anime vibe from it. Yeah, and it just gives him this very soft, flowy gentleness to him. Like I said for Henri, I can't think of the word, but it feels like very practical hair. It makes him look a little nerdy, which I think is fine, but it looks like he keeps it, like, styled enough that it's, like, still cool, you know? He cares about his appearance, where, like, he's tying it back a little bit so, like, his hair's out of his face, but he still keeps it long. So it's still fashionable. Like, I get that vibe, like, he's a little bit vain, but also practical. So I think that works for him. And then Taki feels just like her hair is like an explosion. It's just, like, free and wild, just like her. I think that's the vibe I get. Does that make sense? Yeah, it feels a little messy, but she seems like a little messy, and that's fine. Rustic, as we said earlier. Yeah, where Henri is very, like, well kempt, and then Ginkgo is just very soft, very conditions his hair, so it's nice and soft and beautiful. His mom taught him how to tie his hair, since he refused to let anyone but her cut it. Oh, stop! That's cute. Adorable. Awesome. Yeah. So, God bless. See, I wish my hair was as beautiful as Ginkgo's. I want that fluffy hair vibe. But I'm too lazy. I'm too lazy to make my hair look pretty. All right. So, if that is everything, again, if you have more questions, please let me know. But I think I will end the stream here. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. I hope you take care of yourselves. I hope you do lots of wonderful art and writing. And stay hydrated. My hair's more like Rumpel's character. Listen, you got the hyena biting your head. Lovely stream, everyone. Have a nice weekend. Yes, have a nice weekend. Happy Easter to any of those who celebrate. If not, I hope you get to enjoy some lots of chocolate that comes with the season. Yeah. Goodbye. Oh, wait, how do I turn off stream? Oh, it's been so long. I also maybe should wait in case Blanket Gremlin has another question. I feel like I've been rambling to give them time. Oh, I know, it's like, it's been a while since we streamed, so I'm like, how do I do it? Where's the windows? Okay, I will scoot out of here. I'm waiting for after the holiday for the discount. Yes, exactly. Get all the chocolate. All right, goodbye, everybody.